Hello and welcome to the Simple Science session on the Next Generation Science Standards Standalone Science and Engineering Practice. It's a really long title. I could shorten that, I guess. And the practice that we're focusing on is part of a small series that I'm doing with using the practice of developing and using models in this sense to construct knowledge and understanding. I guess we should always be doing that, so maybe this isn't that special, but it's nice to make that idea a little more explicit. The one that I've chosen here is simple yet profound, as all things in science tend to be. This is one I typically do after count a water flask one. And the reason why I do this 1 second is because that helps explain what happens with the first one, the count a water flask one in volume 1. So check that one out. With this one here, with these here, I'm trying to structure things in a way where it's really easy for you to be able to take what you see in this package, set yourself up for actively doing science. So let's take a look what we have here. How is this structured? Okay, there's our index. So there's two main sections in these volumes. There's going to be the teacher section and then the student section. So my thought was that these are the ones that you print, and these ones here are the ones for your eyes only. Okay. And the idea was that all of these, T1 to T11, is there to help set you up for success. Okay, so the first one, if you have no time at all, and this is the only page that you really need to look at yourself up, okay? It lets you know what your students are going to be doing, how much time you should plan, what you need in terms of supplies, and then which pages you should print. Okay? And then you get a small snapshot of what those pages or some of those pages look like. If you have more time, then you can scroll through. That helps you get the most out of this engagement. And then we'll go through those really quickly right now. Okay. This one here, we know that learning is not linear, but if it was, then this is how I would picture it. Okay, you going through these here. So it does leave room for your magic. So if you know what you want your students to get out of these engagements, then your introduction is kind of setting the stage. I've included one of the appendices from the Next Generation Science Standards webpage just to show where all this is coming from and maybe my take on that. It's also a really good resource. That's why I included the link here. And this gives you an idea as to what you should expect from your students depending upon their grade level. I've used this one from grade 2 to grade 12. Huge success, right? Kids are engaged. They're having those conversations. They're developing their science literacy skills. Next Generation Science Standards kind of showing you how I unpack these cards, and that to me makes it a little more accessible. So that's why that is there. I've included 2 rubrics. So the first rubric is specifically about the effectiveness of the model. Notice that there is no numbers. Okay. Don't tell anyone I said this, but numbers can be bad sometimes. If a student shows all of the visible components, right, then they would be maybe somewhere over here. So this rubric is specifically for the model. This one over here is more about the student's understanding of how to use a model or how to develop a model, right? The change that we're looking for is a little bit hard to see. So I've come up with I've used 3 creative ways to show that there's been a change in the phenomenon. Once you become familiar with what we're trying to do in this engagement, you'll see how these fit in quite nicely. One of the most challenging things with this, and I find it to be the most exciting thing now, but in the beginning was to not give the answers to the kids. If you know how the phenomenon works, the goal is not to lead them to the answer. The goal is to give them the opportunity to function as a group of scientists and see how close they can get to the understanding that you and I already have. So when students start to ask you those questions, and you still have time, you know that they're going to have time to discover and inquire and collaborate. I've come up with a few different ways to not deflect, but to get them to think a little bit deeper. We do ask for the students to add either a description or an explanation in addition to the sketch or the model. Quite often, a lot of teachers find it useful to narrow the focus a little bit, or to maybe prime their thinking and to give them some words that maybe should be used in their descriptions. Okay, so there's 2 pages for them to do a description. One as an individual, and then one with a group or the class. These words here are for maybe early learners. They're also included there, just as these are over here. Okay, so that's my intro to this session. I hope it works out well for you. Let me know. Give me some feedback.